On today's program, a church plant in Bulgaria, global mission centers, and how a little boy broke down barriers with the help of some goats. That and much more coming up next on Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of His love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hello, I'm Gary Krause and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots. Today we'll be talking with two guests who are at the front lines of global mission. For many years, Richard Elofer has been heading up the World Jewish-Adventist Friendship Center. Today we'll be talking with Dr. Elofer about how Adventists can better relate to their Jewish friends and neighbors. We'll also be talking with Clifmond Shameerudeen from the Center for South Asian Religions. And we'll also meet a young boy in Portugal who made a friend and shared Jesus, thanks to some goats. But first up, let's visit Bulgaria to meet two women who started with a group of 6 people, meeting in a garage and ended up with a church plant of more than 100 believers.
Kalinka Filipova lives in southwestern Bulgaria. She is a gypsy. Her town, Blagiograd, has a large population of Romani people. Several years ago, Kalinka met a woman on her way home. They started talking about God's existence. The two strangers connected instantly and started exploring the Bible together. As they studied, they made a pact to follow Jesus' command and make disciples. They prayed together and opened their garage for Romani people to learn the way to salvation.
Initially, we were 5 or 6 people, and then the group grew to 106 people. The garage could not hold us inside, so we would put blankets and carpet outside so the people could sit.
As the numbers increased, some of the new believers were baptized and have become proactive leaders. So the Seventh-day Adventist Church rented and renovated a first-floor apartment in the Romani community that would serve as a sanctuary for worship and church activities. The Romani congregation continued to grow, and now that number would crowd any house church. But the visitors far outnumber the members, and seats are at a premium for every service.
The
greatest challenge for the church is that there are many people we can reach. It has plans and methods to do it, but our greatest concern is that our guests have no place to sit when they come, because our sanctuary is too small.
Today, some 160 members and friends come, seeking God's blessing and offering their worship on Sabbaths, and nearly every day throughout the week. Today, every possible wall has been removed to make room for worshipers. Chairs stand in tight rows with barely room for feet between them. When the sanctuary fills, more chairs are added to the narrow hallway, and when weather permits, the children meet outside so more adults can hear the sermon by closed-circuit TV in the children's room. Still, some must stand outside, catching snippets of the worship service through an open door or window. Many of the children don't come to church simply because there's no room for them.
We would like to have a separate children's room because adults interrupt our activities.
At times, they come and find their room full of adults, so they must return home. The adults don't like the situation either, for they realize that children are important to God's family. The Romani congregation is eager to share its faith with fellow Romani. They want to find a larger place to worship, but because they don't earn much as seamstresses, street sweepers, and construction workers, and because many have no jobs at all due to the sagging economy, they struggle to pay the rent on the building they now occupy. When visitors come, members stay away so the guests can have a seat. There's no turning people away. The Romani can't get enough of God's word. Whenever there's a meeting, people come. What an opportunity to evangelize. Thank you for helping advance God's work in a fruitful region of His vineyard.
I'm delighted to welcome our guest, who is a colleague and a good friend of mine, Clifmond Shameerudeen, who works with the Global Mission Center for South Asian Religions. Cliff, I'm glad you could join us.
Me too.
You always have wonderful stories because you are involved in frontline mission. Now, the work that you do is not overly easy. You are working, I know, long hours, and you are based in Trinidad, working among people who come from usually a Hindu background, correct?
That's correct.
Now, Cliff, let's back up. How did what's your testimony, your experience? You grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist?
Yes, I grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist home. My mother, is mixed. Her dad was a Pentecostal, and my grandmother was a Hindu. So my mom grew up in a very mixed environment.
Yeah.
Mostly Hindu was the strongest influence in my mother's side.
Ah.
My father was a former Muslim.
Ah.
And so, he gave up Islam when he met my mom, who became an Adventist a few years before they met.
So you have a very rich background.
Yes. And so here I grew up in a community where there's very few Christians. In fact, we're probably the only Christian that, as far as I remembered.
Yeah.
And all my parents are either Muslim, my relatives are either Muslim or Hindu.
Mm.
And so we, as a boy growing up, you're expected to attend these functions because that's such an important aspect of the culture and the family. When you're invited to a place, to a relative, you're expected to be there.
Yes.
And since very few of my relatives were Christians, we were exposed to, I was exposed to this type of environment at a very young age.
Okay. And then you went to Andrews University for further study.
Yes.
What did you focus on?
Well, you see, I'm like Jonah, the runaway person.
Okay.
Ever since I've been a young person active in church and ministry and evangelism and reaching out to different people, but I never felt called to be a pastor.
Ah.
Personally, because there was so many baggage that I had to deal with.
Right.
And one of it is that the church never focused on the biggest need, which is to reach people of Hindu background. And so I didn't want anything to do with the church in terms of ministry, being a pastor. And so I did everything else. I started college with business, and that didn't work out. And finally, I settled with computer science. And so I was a web developer after graduating from Andrews, and for a number of years. But I wanted to be involved in ministry, so I found an Adventist company and worked for about 7 years doing websites and programming for churches and conferences and unions and so on. Well, God has its way. He has its way with me, and finally
He got you out of the fish?
He got me out.
Okay.
And told me that I want you to be back in ministry because this is my church. And no matter how broken it is, this is where I want you to be. And so finally I said, Lord, you have your way, and I will follow that. And so I quit my career in 2008 and told my wife, who we just married about 3 months, and Amy is from Oregon, and when I first met her, she had no idea where Guyana was, where I was born. And so God just put us together, two worlds come together. And after 3 months, she looked at me and said, you must be crazy. You're going to be a what? A pastor? I said, well, this is what God is calling me to do. I don't know where this is going to take me, but I'm willing to follow.
Why didn't you tell me before we got married? Yeah.
Well, yeah, she wished I did.
Yeah.
But God has really put us together for a specific reason. And after seminary at Andrews University, I was willing to go where God wants me. And that's when it came back to me that, the place that I came from and the people there that needs the gospel. And this is where I need to return to.
Wonderful.
And she being a faithful Christian, she was willing to follow God's lead. And it hasn't been an easy road by any means.
No.
But having our son Peter has made the world of difference. He is the greatest missionary. Wherever we go in Trinidad and the Caribbean, He melts the hearts of people. You know.
Breaks down barriers.
Breaks down barriers.
How old is he now?
He's 3.5.
Yeah.
And he has more friends than we do.
Well, you know, church planters talk about the fact that the best way to get to know people in the community is either to have a child or have a walk a dog of an evening. We just start talking to people, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, Clifmond, what is your goal in your ministry?
You know, my goal is to do what Christ has asked us to do, and that is to share the good news to each person that we meet.
Yeah.
And I believe that this message that we have will be reached to all the people in the world, but it has to be done by the lay persons.
Yeah.
And so I make it my utmost mission to train and equip the lay person, the people who gets up in the morning and say, God, help me to get through this day, so
Wonderful.
I can share the good news. These are the people that makes a difference. And I have been empowering them and said, listen, you ask for the resource, you will get it. You ask for the time, you will get it, because this is what you need to share the good news. And I think this is what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, excellent.
And it has made a difference.
Yeah.
It has made a difference already.
Well, Clifmond, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I know that God is blessing it, and He has great plans for the future. Viewers at home, wonderful story of Clifmond following God's leading. And I invite you to please pray for our global mission centers. Pray for Clifmond, pray for our other centers, because it's challenging work. Sometimes it can be very lonely, discouraging work, and it's wonderful for them to know that there's a world church that is praying for them. And if you'd like to find out more information about Global Mission Centers, simply go to adventistmission.org, adventistmission.org, and there you will find much more information, contact details, because they are there to serve the church, to more effectively build bridges to our brothers and sisters who come from vastly different faith traditions than most of us. It's my privilege and pleasure to introduce our guest, who is my colleague and friend, Dr. Richard Elofer. And Dr. Elofer heads up the World Jewish-Adventist Friendship Center, which is one of the global mission centers. Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
You are currently based in France.
Yes.
Now, when I first met you, you were speaking very good English, which you still do now, but that was not your native language.
No.
But you learned English pretty quickly. How did that happen?
Oh, it was I would say, by force, because I had to.
Right.
Yeah, I went 6 months at Newbold College just to have the first basic things, and then I had to speak and to learn by myself after that.
Wow, so you were preaching pretty soon after that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to, yes.
Fantastic. Richard, the ministry that we have with Jewish people, where are we conducting this ministry? What parts of the world?
Oh, we have this ministry, in fact, everywhere where Jews are living. That means in Israel, in North America, in Canada, in different countries of South America like Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. And we are looking to start new ministries in Mexico and Puerto Rico. Mm. And then we are looking also to start a new ministry in South Africa. We have some people interested by this ministry in Pretoria and Johannesburg. And also we have also, of course, this ministry in France, in Netherlands, in Germany, very soon in Italy.
Wow.
And we have also this ministry in Ukraine, in Russia, in East European countries, in Poland too. And right now we have started a new ministry in New Zealand, and I hope very soon in Australia.
Excellent. Now you just came back from the South Pacific. What did you find there?
Oh, I found a very motivated leaders of our Seventh-day Adventist Church there, because I was in Brisbane, I was in Sydney, and in Sydney I met all the presidents of the Mission Conference and Union. They were meeting in the South Pacific Division office, and I gave them a presentation for 1 hour, and they were very, very interested. And after that, they came to me saying that some of them came to me, said they are interested to see me started the ministry in Melbourne, in Sydney, in the South New Zealand Conference, and also in Polynesia, French Polynesia, Tahiti, and New Caledonia.
Oh.
All these territories are very interested by this ministry.
Good. Richard, can you please describe for us some of the congregations that have been established in some parts of the world?
Okay, we call this congregation Jewish-Adventist congregation. Because in fact, in this congregation, we would like to make the Jews to be comfortable in worshiping God. And that's why we use Hebrew songs and Hebrew prayers, and we use also some artifact like the talit, you know this shawl of prayer.
Yes.
And the kippah, that means the small hat the Jews have to pray. And of course, in each country, the sermon is in the local language, English, Spanish, French, etc. But Jews like to sing and to pray in Hebrew because that reminds them what they did in the synagogue before.
Yeah. Now, can you describe some of the, different sizes and different places? I know in South America there's some quite large groups.
Oh yeah, we have large groups, and just at the 2 weeks ago, at the end of August, they had the division meeting with all the leaders from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. This meeting was led by Dr. Reinaldo Sequeira, who is a leader for the South America division, and that went very, very well because we have this meeting now regularly, almost every year, and the people enjoy it. In North America, we have a very nice ministry too, because we have about 25 congregations in North America, led by Ralph Ringer, who is a coordinator for the North America division. And we have every year in August, just before ASI convention.
Hang on, you're talking language that people may not understand. ASI is like a lay Adventist organization.
Yeah. We have an advisory, North America advisory, and then we have their news on many things, many news about what happened in this ministry.
So you have basically a network of people who are leading different congregations, and you come together to plan, to learn from each other, and see what can be improved?
Yeah, we had in May the World Advisory, and this World Advisory was held in Kiev, in Ukraine, and we had about 50 people coming from all over the world to attend this meeting and to give news and to share what happening is in many countries.
Fantastic. I think for many of our viewers, this will come as news to them of what the flourishing ministry there is. But thank you, Richard, for sharing. Viewers at home, a wonderful ministry. Not an easy ministry, but one that we are called to do to build bridges, because, you know, too often there has been a distance between the Christian church and our Jewish brothers and sisters to whom we owe so much.
Christoph and his family moved from a crowded city in Germany to a remote community in Portugal. They wanted to be closer to God and to one another. Their new home looks out onto a beautiful mountain range. Here, Christoph and his brothers have the biggest playground they could wish for. When Christoph's family arrived, they had a tough time making friends in their new community. They didn't know the language, and it was awkward relating to people from a completely different culture. So Christoph and his mom decided to simply help people in their village. After all, there are no barriers for lending a helping hand. One day, Christoph met a goat herder, and he asked the man if he could help take care of his goats. The man pleasantly agreed, and he began to teach Christoph how to care for these playful animals. After a bit of time spent together, Christoph learned that his new friend, Antonio, did not know how to read or write. So Christoph offered to read stories to his new friend on his next visit. Christoph was eager to share the beautiful messages he had learned in the Bible, so he brought his favorite book with him. As he read, Antonio listened attentively. He was happy to have someone read to him, and these were special messages from the Word of God. On one occasion, Antonio told Christoph that he believes there is a God in heaven. Antonio also shared that years ago, his grandma believed in the Sabbath as God's day for rest and worship. Christoph was really happy to find a friend he could share the Bible with. Today, Christoph has his own goats. He cares for them every day with his brothers. The goats are a lot of fun. Christoph and his family thank God for the wonderful blessings he gives each one of us. Why don't you try listening to God's voice and sharing his amazing stories with others? You never know what exciting gift God will bring to your life.
If you enjoyed these images of mission, you'll be happy to know about the new Adventist Mission Calendar. This beautiful calendar will keep the people and places of mission in front of you every day. If you live in North America, please accept this free gift as a small thanks for your prayers and support. Just call toll-free 1-800-648-5824 or visit our website and ask for the Adventist Mission Calendar or offer 305. Be sure to mention the calendar or offer 305. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Thank you again for your continuing support of Adventist Mission through your prayers, personal involvement, and finances. As we close, I hope you find inspiration for mission in this music video. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope you can join us next time right here on Global Mission Snapshots.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him. He shall direct your path. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your flesh, and it will be strength to your bones. Honor the Lord with all you have to offer. Even the smallest son of Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. Do not be wise in